Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Let's give a big round of applause. We got delayed in the traffic. Sorry, apologize for a few minutes late. And then Maharaj is here, graciously accepting our invitation to come for Thursday feast. He's also giving a home program tomorrow. He's coming after almost 3 years. Actually, he's coming because of Prabhupada. He invited me. So let's give a big round of applause to Maharaj one more time. And then Maharaj doesn't need invitation. However, I'll just his problem my karma. You always, no matter what. When I speak, it doesn't work.
No, it's working.
So Maharaj is a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He met devotees in 1968, 69. He's from New York. That's where he moved into the temple. So ever since he came in contact with devotees, he loved dancing, prasad, and kirtan. He's also been considered as a Narsimha of temple. And then early 80s. Then he moved to Cincinnati. Then 1990, not 80, sorry. And then he was developing travel from Cleveland, Athens, Columbus, Yuga. Then he was based in Yuga. Then he moved to Chicago. After that, now he's living in Europe. He travels in Estonia and then UK. And then during COVID, he didn't travel much, but he said he wanted to travel around the world. So he's getting Europe and he's traveling in US now. So let's give a big round of applause one more time to Maharaj. There's a lot of space here. Can you follow?
Is this for emergencies? What is this? What do I do with this? Nothing? Okay. Where's my... Where did the bag go? Oh, here it is. Wait a minute, I got this one too. There's three. This one I have to. Yay. I feel like I'm back in the hospital. That so many intravenous here. Okay. One more. In the veins. I can put over here. Then this one I have to record from my Hare Krishna. Welcome. Let's see, we got Kartik. We have a good Mridanga player? Yeah. Okay. I hope. Hare Krishna. So we'll begin with one bhajan. And the name of the bhajan is Nama Kirtana. And you might be able to find it on your phone. And devotees know the bhajan is Yasomati Nandana. So some of you may know it. Otherwise, you can follow on your phones. It's actually quite easy to follow. Okay. Do you have a clay mridanga? Is that no clay mridanga? Yeah. And the clay mridangas are the real ones. All right? Yasomati Nandana Brajabadan Hagara Gokula Dhanjana Kahan Hasana Yasamati Nandana Brajabadan Hagara Gokula Dhanjana Kahan Mamya Vilasa Vipina Purandhara Navinana Dharadhara Vamsi Vadana Jaya Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladev Jaya Subhadra. Hey, hey. Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Baladev Jaya Subhadra. And if I go Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Hey, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Yasomati Nandana Brajavada Nagara Gokula Ranjana. Jai Ho. Brajavada Kana. I'm playing, I'm not coming for lunch. Oh, his mother calls him. Kana, come for lunch. No. He doesn't come. Hare Krishna. What happened? We lost the volume? Hare Krishna. Okay, there you go. So, what would you like to speak about? What should I talk about? I don't have any topic in mind, but if you have a topic, I will be happy to speak on it. Any volunteers? Kamagiri? I'll tell a story. Okay, technology. This is a nice little pastime. It's actually from the Mahabharata. Omagyan Timidandasya Ganarjana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati Swapadantika Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Bhorvani Prachadine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasyatya Desatari Panchakalpa Tarujascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Titikanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivat Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. This is a nice story that illustrates the present situation we find ourselves in, that is the age of Kali. Throughout the history of human society, just like we see throughout the years of the month, there are different seasons. We have spring, and we have summer, and we're in the fall season now, and soon it'll be winter, and then it'll rotate again. So the four ages, Satya Yuga, the golden age, Treta Yuga, the silver age, Dwapara Yuga, the bronze age, and we are now what is called the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the age sometimes it's called the winter of all ages because it's the most difficult age to practice devotional life, because the emphasis is on economic development and sense gratification are the only aims. Just like we were driving here, I just happened to notice all the shops. Eat this, sleep here, buy this. It's about all you get, you know. And if you run out of gas, we can fill it up for you. So you can keep eating, buying, and sleeping. So our society reflects, and of course the world is reflecting the age of Kali, which is simply satisfy the senses as much as possible, and somehow or other make money in order to do that. But that is animal life, that is not human life. Human life is a tato brahma jigyasa, to inquire into the nature of my existence. And what is my relationship with the Supreme Lord? What is my relationship with this material energy? What is my relationship with other living entities? These are the important questions and relevant questions that bring about progress in human form of life. And so this particular age has a certain characteristic about it, and well, many characteristics. And this one is illustrated by this particular, we can call it story, sometimes we call pastime, when the Sri Mahabharata. And this is right after the battle of Kurukshetra, when the Pandavas were victorious and King Yudhishthira had now received the throne. And King Yudhishthira, being a pious and very benevolent and very much inclined to the citizens' ruler, opened up his doors for anyone and anyone to come and meet with him and speak, whatever problems they may have. And so he was very magnanimous and very liberal. So he set up his office, you might say, and to invite anyone and everyone to come. And he established Bhim, the powerful warrior, Bhimasena, as his secretary. Bhim was outside the door meeting the people. So one man, he comes. And he's quite a little bit confused, not distressed, but more in a confused state of mind. And he says, "Oh, Bhim, I've just got to talk to Yudhishthira. Something just happened and I need an explanation. I can't understand why it's happening." And Bhim noticed it is the time that Yudhishthira is resting. So he said, "Actually, he's not available right now, but you can also ask me. Maybe I'll be able to answer your questions." Okay. And so he did. And the man explained, "Well, I decided to build a garden. And so I got all the necessary ingredients, planted some nice shrubberies, flowers, trees, and others. And I spent a long time making this really beautiful garden. And I was so proud of my garden. It had everything, nice varieties of flowers, and it was very shady, and so many bushes. I think it was one of the best gardens. And so now I was thinking, boy, this is such a nice garden. I have to protect the garden. So I built a boundary wall around the garden to protect the garden. And then after some time, after I completed the boundary wall, something happened. The wall started to encroach upon the garden and started to destroy the garden. I built the wall to protect the garden, but the wall is now destroying the garden. So I need an explanation." Bhima said, "Well, I think this is for you to steer. You can go in." So next, after another man comes along, and he's also quite confused. He came across a situation he can't understand. He needs an explanation. So he comes. Again, he wants to see Yudhishthira. Bhima said, "Well, I think he's a little busy right now, but maybe I can answer your questions." Okay. Well, it's not really serious, but it's quite bewildering. I had this big bucket, and it was filled with water. So I decided to take the water and put it into other containers. So I took all the water out of the bucket, and I put it into 5 containers. And then I thought, all right, now I'll put the water back. So I took the 5 cups containers and I poured it back into the bucket, and guess what? It was only half filled. I started with a full bucket. I put it into 5 containers. The bucket was empty. The containers were full. I pulled it back in, and guess what? Only half was there. And I didn't spill any water. So what is it? Bhima said, I think you better go see Yudhishthira. Third man comes. Oh, Bhima, what I just saw, it's unbelievable. I need an explanation. Well, okay. Now here I am, and I'm sure Yudhishthira is very busy right now. But if you have time, please give me your story. Okay. Well, I was just walking along, and then I saw this huge elephant. He was big. And he was walking along, and I was watching the elephant where he was going, and he was walking right towards this big wall. And he came up to the wall, and he kept going. And he crashes right through the wall breaks, and he's walking through, but guess what? When he got almost all the way through, his tail got stuck. The big elephant crashes through the wall easily, and then when he gets all the way through, you've seen these elephants, these tiny tails. He got stuck. What happened? Beam was thinking I should have stayed home today. I haven't been able to get any of this right. Anyway, go see Yudhishthira. So he goes in. Finally, a 4th man comes. Bhima, something just happened. It's both bewildering, amazing, frightful. I need an explanation. All right, here I am. So far, I haven't been lucky yet, but maybe I'll get lucky. Please tell me your story. Okay. Well, it's not so, it's a simple story. I was thinking, where can I go that I've never been before? Let me go to a new place just to experience. So I just started walking in a direction and just going. And I was walking, not knowing where I was going. And finally, as I was going, I noticed the whole formation started to change. And I started to see in the area, there was big rock formations everywhere. And then the area started to become more and more darker. And there was no sun. And all I could see was these big, giant rock formations with silhouettes everywhere. And I looked around and I saw there was no greenery. It was just rocks. Rocks on the ground, rocks on the sides, rocks everywhere. And then it became so dark. And then I got very frightful. And I was thinking, where am I? I have to get out of here. So I decided to go fast. I turned around and going back in the same direction I came. I was running, thinking I have to get out of here. But then when I was running, I looked down on the ground, and guess what I saw? I saw this little green plant coming out of the ground. And there was nothing else around except rocks and this little green creeper coming out of the ground. So I decided to pull it. So when I pulled it, it came out. And as soon as that happened, all the rocks were gone. The darkness was gone. The sun was out, and I felt so happy. What happened? Bhima said, this one's for Yudhishthira. Go in. So after some time, Bhima goes into the room where Yudhishthira is, and Yudhishthira's all alone. And he starts speaking to Yudhishthira. Did you meet those 4 men I sent in? And Yudhishthira, I didn't see any 4 men. What? Oh, those 4 men. Oh, yes. Krishna will be leaving the planet very soon. These 4 men represent the age of Kali, which will be a very, very dark and difficult age. Bhima gets curious. What was their stories? Can you explain? Yes, the first man, the wall, and the garden. The citizens will elect their officials to protect them, and the governments will devour the citizens. If you have a nice garden, and then the wall comes and destroys it. So the citizens have some faith in their leaders, and the leaders will devour the citizens. Kali Yuga, happening right now. Okay, the second one, the man with the bucket in the front. And then Yudhisthira said, oh, this is very sad. Parents, protectors, mothers, fathers will give so much to their children, but their children will not appreciate their parents. Full bucket you start with, you fill 5 cups, you put it back, only half. The children in this age will not appreciate what their parents have done for them, and many times they will simply neglect and reject their parents. Kali Yuga. Third man, oh yes. And Yudhisthira said, this is very symptomatic of the age of Kali. If you have money, you get justice. If you don't have money, no justice. In other words, you can buy justice in this age. In other words, so the little man, the elephant, he goes right through the wall, but his little tail gets stuck. The small man, the man without money, if he gets into any legal problems, he is always implicated. No money, you know. So money buys justice in this age. Really, it's very easy to buy your way through the justice system, especially in India. But that's everywhere around the world. And then the last man, the rocks and the green creeper. And then Yudhisthira said, this is the beauty of Kali Yuga. That there are kalar dosani de rajan asti eko mahagun kirtana eva krishnasya mukta sangam param bhaja. In this age of Kali, kalir dosha nidhi, nidhi means ocean. Kalir dosha, dosha means faults. In this age, there are so many problems on the family level, on the social level, on the community level, on the national level, on the international level. People cannot get along with each other. So many reasons to fight. And this is the age of Kali, and so many problems come from that. But what is that little green creeper? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. One who seriously and regularly takes to the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, then all the effects of Kali Yuga will be gone. One will be freed from the effects of Kali Yuga. And one can make progress to the goal of life, which is to develop our natural loving relationship with the Supreme Lord in devotion. So this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is not simply a feature of the spiritual process. It is the process. Golokera Pramvadana Harinam Shankirtan Ratin Jan Milo Kene Upai. And in this age, the mercy has manifested in the form of the Lord's holy name. This holy name is so powerful that it can free one from all the effects of Kali Yuga, just like now it's raining. So if you go out in a rainstorm, if you're not properly covered, you will get wet. But if you have the proper covering, even in the rain, you can stay completely dry. So in this age of Kali, one of the most, what we say, direct and easily accessible aspects of the holy name is protection from this age of Kali. But that's not even the benefit of chanting. The benefit of chanting is then one awakens their natural loving relationship with Krishna, which brings about eternal happiness and transcendental knowledge. So this chanting of the holy name is the panacea for this age. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Enechi asari maya nasi padalagi harinama mahamantra lao tumi magi. That in this age I've come with this medicine. What is the medicine? What is the disease? The disease is Bhava Roga. What is Bhava Roga? Bhava Roga. I preach in an area of the world called the Balkans. And there is a particular deity that everybody is afraid of in that area. And his name is Bhava Roga. The kids grow up, oh, Baba Rogue. He's like some scary monster that gives fright to all kids and even grown-ups. So he illustrates the problems in the age of Kali. So Baba Rogue means a disease, actually. That's the actual translation. But what is asadi? Asadi means what? Medicine, yeah. So when you have a disease, you need medicine and you also need a doctor. What is the doctor? Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chite Te Korea Oikya Ana Korea Mani Asta. The lotus feet of the spiritual master are the doctor which applies the medicine in this age. And what is that medicine? To glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotion. That glorification manifests itself in different forms. We glorify the name of the Lord, the forms of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord, the activities of the Lord. Satam prasangam mamavirya samvido vivanti ritkarna rasayana kata. In this age, when devotees come together and hear and chant the glories of the Lord, the whole atmosphere changes. No longer is it Kali Yuga, it becomes Satya Yuga in that atmosphere. Why? Because the glories of the Lord are transcendental. They are non-different in the Lord. When we absorb ourselves in hearing and just like in this month, what is this month? The month of Damodar. So we have the good fortune to absorb ourselves in this particular Leela of Krishna as a little baby. He manifests himself in different forms of himself. And one of the most sweetest and most natural and attractive forms is Krishna in his baby form. Everyone likes babies, right? If there's a baby in the room, it gets all the attention. And if it doesn't, it makes sure it does. And Krishna's like that also. He makes sure his mother doesn't do anything but give him attention. And if she doesn't do it in the right way, he makes sure he does it in another way. That is, he performs mischief. Now, the pastimes of the Lord and the glories of the Lord that center around the Lord's activities and his names, we use the word panacea. Panacea means that medicine that works for everyone. There are certain medicines that work under certain conditions, and only certain doctors can apply those medicines because of their, what we say, skills in that area. But this medicine is for everyone. Anyone and everyone who seriously, and we use that word seriously because it's not something that we simply do when we have time or when there's nothing else to do. No, putting the holy name of the Lord as our main activity in devotional service means we awaken all aspects of transcendental knowledge. There's a nice statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the second canto, first chapter, verse number 12 in the purport, which really illustrates the scientific nature of the holy name. It says that when one is chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can synchronize all spiritual energies from all sectors. In other words, you become the center. Because you are connected with Krishna and Krishna is the center, you're also connected with everything else. What is that connection? That you, just like when you connect with the tree, if you connect with the root, you connect with everything in the tree. So Krishna is called Mula. This is another one of his names, that he is the Mula, or the root of everything. And his holy name is the mercy manifestation in this age. So by chanting the holy names of the Lord in association with devotees, Satam Prasangam Mamavirya Samvido Bhavanti Ritkarna. Ritkarna, Rit means heart, and Karna means ear. So Rasayana means something that's sweet, desirable, nectar. It gives happiness to the ear and to the heart. And the more we engage in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, then Kali Yuga transforms into Satya Yuga. In other words, things become wonderful. And when we create what is called a reality outside of the false reality of a material existence. And this is the real reality. So we cannot emphasize the importance of chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. There are so many beautiful stories related to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Sometimes you see persons who are engaged in devotional service. They, after some time, for whatever reason, we don't want to speculate on the reasons, they think, well, I can get more done. And I'm not really feeling any happiness in chanting. So I'll be a devotee, but I won't chant. So there was one particular story. It's a story where one disciple of one very prominent guru, he decided in that way. So he came to his spiritual master. He was thinking, I should inform my spiritual master, I want to be your disciple, but I'm not going to chant Hare Krishna. Okay? So he goes to his guru and he very humbly approaches him and says, Guru Maharaj, I know you've given me this chanting. I've been chanting for a while. I don't find any happiness. There's no taste to it. I want to give it up. Can I have your permission? So his guru is quite intelligent. Rather than saying yes or no, he said, all right, before you give it up, I have one little service for you to do. And then if you can do this service, then you can choose whether you want to give it up or not. All right. So there is a crane. And he likes this particular crane. He goes by the riverside. And he stands there. And cranes stand on one leg, and they always go by the waters looking for the fish. I want you to get as close as you can to that crane, and then say to the crane, Hare Krishna. Okay? Not so bad. That's easy. So he gets close enough so he doesn't frighten the crane, and he goes, Hare Krishna. And the crane goes, and falls over and dies. Wow. What happened? He's a little bit shocked, goes back to his Guru Maharaj and explains, says, that's okay. There's more to what I want you to do. Go now to the barn. One of our main cows, she just had a beautiful calf, brand new baby calf. Go to that baby calf and get close and say, Hare Krishna. So, all right. So he's obedient. He goes to the barn. The mother's there with her new calf. The mother is really showing affection. And now he gets up near the calf and he says, Hare Krishna. And the calf goes, and so it falls over and dies. Now he's really shocked. So he runs back to his guru. What happened? Never mind. Don't worry about it. But one more. The king of this local area, he's my disciple. He's also your god brother. He's just recently, he had a new baby. His wife just had a son. And I want you to go and say that your Guru Maharaj has come to give blessings to your new son. And I'm here to offer the blessings on his behalf. Sounds good? Okay, he goes. The king is just celebrating the joy of his new son. The palace residents are very happy for the king. Everyone's praising the king. The mother is there with the newborn baby in their little chamber. And then he explains. He said, oh, you're my godbrother, and Guru Maharaj is coming for blessings for the new son. Please, yes, go. So he goes into the room with the mother. And he gets close to the baby and he says, Hare Krishna. And the baby goes, boom, and dies. Wow. That's it. The news comes out that the baby's no longer, the blessing was a death curse. The king is besides himself, both with anger and frustration. He is so bewildered, so angry, he can't even think straight. And then he calls his guards and he says, take this man away and give him a slow death. As soon as they're about to take him away, that little baby comes out, and out of the body of the baby comes this beautiful, effulgent personality with 4 arms. It goes up in the sky and says, thank you, looks right at the young man. I was cursed to take 3 births. One is a crane, one is a calf, and one is a son of a... Now I can go back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna. And so the king is a little pacified. And then he goes back to his guru, tells him the story. He says, what do you want to do? You want to give up? Oh, no. So he used that experiment just to show this is the power of the holy name is really powerful. In other words, if one once, just once, not even one mantra, one name, one chants it purely, one can be free from all the reactions of all sinful activities committed in whatever births one may have taken in the material world. So powerful, the holy name. Just simply by chanting the holy name. But we have to chant with, what is that? Faith. And that is the key. That there is no more direct way to purify the heart and to make advancement in Krishna consciousness and to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So devotees find great happiness and absorption in chanting Krishna's name. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Sunya Nitya Purnya Sudya Nitya Mukta Abhinnatvam Nami Namino. This verse is from Padma Purana, that the holy name of Krishna and Krishna are non-same. Nama and Nami. The Nami is more powerful. No, Nam is more powerful than Nami. Nami means he who is named. So Krishna's name is more powerful than Krishna. Sounds like Maharaj is making up something. Krishna's name is more. Why? Because if one commits an offense to Krishna, the only way one can be relieved from the reactions is to chant Krishna's name. So there's a mercy element within the name that you may not be able to access in Krishna directly. And that is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada gave us, the standard for those who are serious to chant 16 rounds on beads without fail. When someone asks Srila Prabhupada, what is your most important instruction? He gave that as the response, to chant 16 rounds on beads every day without fail. But then he qualified that in various other discussions. And there is a story which relates to the early days of our Krishna conscious movement, when one devotee was with Prabhupada. It was actually Mukunda, who's now Mukunda Maharaj. Prabhupada said, when he was introducing the movement, he said, devotees should chant 64 rounds a day. That was Prabhupada's original instruction. 64 rounds, not 16. We think, 16 is hard enough. 64. My God. It's like trying to climb Mount Kilimanjaro with a backpack. And so there was some, what we say, reaction to that. So Mukunda said, well, devotees have so many other activities, we don't have time. So Prabhupada was considering that. So he said, all right, 32. 32 rounds a day. And then there was also some reaction to that. And Prabhupada said, all right, 16 and no less. But then he said, 16 is just the preliminary. Just like when we give initiations to new disciples, we say, do you agree to chant at least 16 rounds on beads? Because as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, by chanting regularly, you come to the practice of chanting always. And then you develop, once you develop a taste, ruchi, sweetness, for chanting, then you just want to chant. You look for so many opportunities to chant. So that sweetness is available through practicing the chanting of the holy names, but there is another element that is really necessary in order to make that foundational in our absorption, and that is called Vaishnava Seva. To take opportunities to serve the devotees. Now, sometimes devotees think Vaishnava Seva means, well, whenever I get the opportunity, and I'll serve the Vaishnava. It's not like that. Vaishnava Seva means you have to look and create opportunities to serve the devotees. You have to look for ways to serve the devotees and make plans to serve the devotees. That's real Vaishnava Seva. And there's an archetypical story which sort of illustrates what is the benefit of Vaishnava Seva. In fact, we might even say it's just as important and practically even what we say, the quality that makes chanting the Hare Krishna mantra very attractive. And I'll tell another story, I guess, if you like stories. This one is nice. We call it an archetypal. And it's in another tradition. You probably might have heard this story before because it's been going around. Where there was one monastery in Europe. And in this monastery, there were brothers living there. It was a Christian monastery. And it was quite attractive, this monastery. It was on a beautiful countryside hill, surrounded by beautiful, beautiful trees and nice greenery. Very, very beautiful area. And people were coming regularly. And just to visit the monastery, meet the brothers. And so there were so many brothers in the monastery. But something happened. The course of time changed something. And then gradually, less and less people started to come, and some of the brothers were leaving the monastery. And after a while, everything went down practically to just maintaining the place with 6 brothers left, that's all. So after some time, they approached the abbot, the head of the monastery, and asked him, we were really a very, prosperous, and so many brothers in the monastery, and people were coming, and so much, what we say, attraction. And now that's all gone. What happened? Can you give us some answers? What did we do wrong? Or what is happening? And the abbot, he was thinking, and he responded by saying, well, actually, there's a rabbi, and he's traveling in the area as one of the most popular and well-known rabbis. He's coming around in this area. I will go to meet him, and I'll ask him. I'm sure he can give the answer. So after some time, there's an arrangement. He meets the rabbi, and they're talking, and he explains the situation in the monastery. And then the rabbi's listening, and he's thinking. And he says, well, I can't give you a direct answer, but I can tell you one thing. And this is a fact. One of the brothers that lives in your monastery now is the chosen person. He is the Messiah sent by God. And then the next question, well, which one? I can't say. So that was it. That was the conversation. So now after some time, the abbot returns, and then the brothers are eager to hear what the rabbi said. So they're all gathering around looking for the answer. And then they asked the question. And the abbot, he said, well, the rabbi didn't give a direct answer, but he did say one thing. He said, one of you is the chosen person by God, the Messiah. Well, which one? He didn't say. So they're all looking at each other now. And they're starting to think, well, they're thinking in different ways. And before they were finding fault with each other, now they're thinking, well, Brother John, he sleeps a lot, but he's always right when he speaks. And Brother Michael, he works really hard, but sometimes he eats too much. So they were dispensing with and getting rid of all of the negativity they were seeing towards each other and looking for the good qualities. And by doing that, they started to feel that now we have to find out which one. So they didn't know, so they just started to serve each other. And as they were serving each other, they became more and more happy. And guess what? People started coming back, and then more brothers were joining, and the monastery started to flourish again. So the point is, Vaishnava Seva actually is the foundation for the success of the growth in and what is that Vaishnava Seva? It's not just simply a statement. It means to serve the devotees in such a way that will benefit the devotees. That's what it means. And we do that. We do that now in our society. But to make that the focus, we see there are some devotees who focus simply on that. How to serve others like that. Even in the material world, there is a statistic in the United States of America, which is the world of statistics. Again, now they have nothing to do here, so they just keep doing Gallup polls and this poll and that poll to find out how many ants are in the average anthill, So many different surveys, They take a survey on how many surveys they've done too. It's like that, right? I guess you do that in the medical field too, right? They're always making. So this one particular survey that happened in the United States was, what is the characteristic of happy people? Those who are actually happy, what is their characteristics? And they came up with two characteristics. One is they're very active, and two, they're always serving others. So even from the material point, we see that people who enjoy serving others and are also busy doing that, they find they have less problems. Our problems come because when we create problems when we think about the situation we're in. Well, this ain't right, that ain't right, he's not right, she's not right, I'm not right. It's not all right to be wrong, but it's not right. So it's just like, so many problems. But engaging in seva takes your mind off your problems. These problems go away. Just like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. There's one particular pastime in his Leela where one important political person came to see Bhakti Siddhanta, and he would come quite often. So this particular time he approached Guru Maharaj. He wasn't officially a disciple, but he felt himself so. So he offered his respect, and he said, Guru Maharaj, do you have some time? I have some questions. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati replied, he said, actually, right now I'm not available, but you can go see the pujaris, and they'll answer your questions. Okay? So he goes into the pujari room, and the pujaris are there, and they're polishing the silver and the brass of the deities. So he said, Guru Maharaj has sent me. I have some questions. Can you answer? He said, well, right now we are doing this seva, so why don't you help us? So he said, fine. So he sat down and he started helping polishing the brass and silver, and there was a lot. So this went on for some time. And then everything was done. The pujaris turned to him and said, what is your question? He said, I don't have any questions. Thank you. And when he was walking out, he happened to pass by Guru Maharaj and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati said, did the pujaris answer your questions? Oh, yes. Thank you, Maharaj. In other words, he got his answer simply by doing seva. You find that it's true a lot of times. Sometimes even like when you sit in the class, you might have a question, but somehow the speaker answers your question anyway. It just happens. Because Krishna knows your heart. He's situated, he's the Antaryami, he's situated in the heart. And he always wants to guide you and direct you, so he does it in different ways. So those who are absorbed in service, they get all the understanding of how to live their life. Service is the key. And service to the Vaishnava, as Krishna says in the Adi Purana, one of the Krishna said, anyone who says, he who says he's my devotee is not my devotee, but he who says he's devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. So serving the devotees is actually higher than serving the Lord. Why? Because the devotees are very dear to the Lord, just like we use the example. If a big person has a little child, and you show some affection and make that little child happy, that big person he's very inclined to show you favor. When you love somebody who is loved by another person, that person also loves you. So this is life. And so this is actually the foundation for devotional success. When you have problems, you have some conflicts, just work on Vaishnava Seva. Sometimes we discuss problems for 100 years, and we just create another 50 problems through the discussion. When we come together and serve each other and try to work out the problems, it's not that we shouldn't discuss these things, but in the mood of service to the Vaishnava, then everything becomes clear. Why? Because Krishna enters into that and makes everything understandable. There's no greater service to the Lord than to serve the Vaishnavas and work together to cooperate, to push on Krishna consciousness. And we automatically benefit from that. So this is just some preliminary statements to help us focus. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur adds another principle to Lord Chaitanya's Nam Ruchi, taste for chanting the holy name, Vaishnava Seva, serving and associating with Vaishnavas, because in order to serve, you have to associate. And the third one is Jiva Dvaya. And that means showing compassion to other living entities. And what is that? Sometimes we use the general term preaching, but it's not preaching. It's reaching out to others and trying to also give them something that is valuable. In the Christian tradition, they have the 10 Commandments. And one of the commandments is to love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. And the second commandment is to love your brother as yourself. So what does that mean? That means if you have something that you're benefiting, try to give it to others. That is a way to show love and to benefit others. So that means I'm Krishna conscious, or I'm practicing Krishna consciousness. Let me try to share that with whoever I can. And that is called Jiva Dvaya. Or showing compassion, mercy to others. And then making the unfortunate fortunate. Because we understand that one who is Krishna conscious, everything is within Krishna conscious. There's not like there's Krishna consciousness and something else. Krishna conscious means it includes everything, because Krishna is everything. So everything that is needed and more within life is found within the activities of devotional service. I was just listening to Parikshit here. He was just giving a little lecture. And he was introducing, in a very interesting and very intellectual way, Srimad Bhagavatam from the first canto, first chapter, verse number 3. And he was describing the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam by taking apart this particular. Okay, you can sponsor the Sunday feast.
So WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay, we need a little jazz here. Jazz up the place. We used to have a program where anybody's cell phone rang during the meeting. You would have to sponsor the Sunday feast. But I don't think that we didn't tell you ahead of time, so we'll let that go. Oh, there was one preacher, and he came and he said, "Everyone shut their cell phones." Okay, and he wanted to talk and be under. Guess what? His cell phone rang. So that ruined everything. So what was I saying? Jiva Dvaya. Huh? Parikshit was describing, in detail, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, taking apart the third verse of the first canto, first chapter. He did it so completely within 5 minutes that I was amazed. And he was able to show the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam and the inclusiveness of everything in Srimad Bhagavatam by explaining the words of the verse. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada also emphasizes that everything you want to know in devotional service and in life in general, you can find it in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not just a spiritual treatise, it's actually it's a way to live life. It includes both the material and the spiritual, but it emphasizes the living entity's connection with God and how to connect everything to God through devotion to God. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. And so by distributing the mercy of Srimad Bhagavatam in the form of this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because okay, Parikshit, I got a question for you. Okay, what is the last verse in the last chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam? Okay, thank you, you got it. The last verse, what does it illustrates? It glorifies the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as the sunam bonum of all spiritual activities. So Bhagavatam covers so many subjects, but in the last verse, Canto 12, chapter 13, verse number 23 is the last verse. It glorifies, I can't remember the actual translation, but if anybody knows it, in that 12, 13, 23, after speaking so many subject matters about Krishna, his activities, and the activities of the pure souls, it ends with, is that Yadu Nandana? Who? Yadavacharya. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Thank you. I heard that you were in Columbus. Thank you. Right. And so in this verse, maybe Parikshit can read it. Oh, you know the verse. Namak Sankirtana Yasya Sarva Papana Nashanam. Read the translation.
That often our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari. The congregational chanting of whose holy name destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom we all material suffering.
So in that verse, all material reactions are destroyed by the chanting, and it offers obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has manifested himself in this age exclusively in a very merciful manifestation as the Holy Name. The Holy Name is none different than Krishna. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. All the qualities, all the forms, all the pastimes, everything is found in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And one who chants with faith. And Krishna consciousness means to make a goal. Just to perform the activities of Krishna consciousness is very nice. But if you want to make progress, make a goal within the larger goal. I want to chant purely. And then do whatever is necessary in order to attain to that state of chanting. This is called ekavrata. One-pointed focus. I want to be able to speak the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Another goal. I want to be able to be expert in offering puja to the Supreme Lord in his deity form. And then you focus on that and you develop whatever is necessary to achieve that. These ekavratas really inspire one in the process of devotional service. I want to get as many cookies as Kamagiri can possibly cook. Well, I don't know if that's an ekavrata. That's more like a mahavrata. That wasn't a hint, so. Oh, okay. See how powerful Krishna consciousness is? Immediately. You don't have to do anything. Any other desires, we can fulfill them immediately. So that's the power. When it's geared in the right direction, then it'll bring about what we say enthusiasm in the process. This eka, we call it eka, one, vrata means austerity in a certain direction. So within the larger goal of becoming, the larger goal is prema pumartha mahan, to develop your love of Krishna. And then we can make these smaller goals, which also lead to the larger goal. Like that. I want to be expert on how to serve the devotees. I want to be an expert about cooking for Krishna in such a way that when I put the plate in front of the altar and then I come back and there's nothing on it. I mean, Krishna will eat that sometimes. If it's that good, he will. There was a story, not a story, it actually was part of the ISKCON society many years ago, where during the Chaturmasya, devotees were offering the milk, which was during the milk fast of the Chaturmasya, and the deities were drinking the milk. It was happening all around the world at the same time. I remember the year was around 1995 or something like that. Maybe some of you were. And then, there was news reports everywhere. Deities are drinking milk in this country, and in India, this country. It was happening in America. Ganesh, and also other deities. And so one man, and I was sitting in the temple room in one office, and one man, he comes in and he's like really animated. Miracle! Miracle! God is drinking the milk. I said he drinks every day. But now he's a little more merciful. He's leaving you something. I mean, now he's not as merciful. He's not leaving you any. So he does. He's actually taking the prasad when you offer it there. But because he's merciful, he leaves the remnants, and that remnants purifies the heart, and it gives enthusiasm for devotional service. That is prasadam. Prasadam gives you enthusiasm for service. And it also purifies the mind by eating it. We should not eat things that are not offered to the Lord in devotion, because that has the opposite effect. And what is that opposite effect? The mind becomes clouded, and becomes disturbed, and one has a difficult time chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yeah. So eating food outside will cause us to struggle really hard to chant. And you also get interesting dreams at night, which you wish you didn't get. Visited by certain entities that you never met before. So yeah, one should only take Krishna prasadam, and especially cookies. Special. Okay, so these are some of the things that we can consider in devotional service. But back to the essence of our presentation. The chanting of the holy names of the Lord is, as Prabhupada said, it is the process. It's not that you can just chant and expect to get the benefits, because the process itself, which means hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, worshiping the Lord in his deity form, taking Krishna prasadam, and doing practical service, all of that supports the quality of our chanting. So Prabhupada said, if you simply chant Hare Krishna and you don't perform any of the other activities, you will be cooking with smoke. And then he goes on to explain, if you cook with smoke, it'll take 300 years to get breakfast. So in other words, the activities of devotional service, but as one makes advancement, one will find that they'll find that more and more, just like in this pandemic or epidemic, subdemic, I don't know, is going on. When it first happened in the lockdown, many devotees just started to increase their chanting. I was chanting 20 rounds a day, and then I went up to 32. And so more time available, and I thought, best use of the time is just chant more rounds. And that really inspired me to continue to try to increase my rounds. So yeah, chanting, as Prabhupada says, chanting brings chanting. When he was asked by one reporter, what do you get out of chanting? Prabhupada said, chanting. You get chanting from chanting. Another, it leads to more chanting, which because you feel happy by chanting, you want to chant more. So don't get discouraged if the taste is not there. Just continue to, but apply that principle of thinking how to serve the Vaishnavas. When you do that, then you'll see how your chanting will increase exponentially without any extra effort at all. It's connected like that. Okay, so these are some things we can think about. Any comments or questions? Looks like one of the 3 recordings didn't work, and that was mine. Okay. Yes, Libby.
A reflection. So, in fact, actually, I was thinking when you asked what you wanted to think, and I was thinking maybe it could be holy name. Eventually, you spoke about holy name. Thank you very much. And then the purport of the second chapter is that Krishna's holy name channels all the energies.
Channels synchronizes all energies from all parts of the universe. They all come together.
So my reflection on that is a twofold. One is Krishna. I mean, holy name is more merciful than Krishna. Second, third is Nam Nam Akad Prabhupada. You can mix all of them. So Krishna, when Vishnu Tattva Ram comes, he has many energies. He used some of them. Same Krishna. When Narasimha comes, he also uses particular purposes.
Right.
Like that, when Krishna comes, he uses all of them, but not at the same time. Because all these Vishnu Tattvas, they use energy, some of them to a certain extent. But when Krishna comes, he uses all of them, but not all at the same time. So if you go back, read this purport one more time again. So Nam Nam Akad, he invested all energies in the holy name.
Right.
So that is very profound. When you chant Hare Krishna, what Krishna used a few times, Narasimha here and there, Ram here and there, all of them the holy name.
Yeah, or even all the manifestations of the incarnations are also there.
Yeah,
and all their leelas. Yeah, because Krishna is Ishvara Parama Krishna.
Yeah, that's the reason Krishna is more much. I mean, holy name is more much for them.
Yeah, it's true. And it's a nice reflection because it illustrates the glories of the holy name. And that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. And Radha and Krishna have manifested themselves in one form as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gauda Krishnama. There's no more merciful manifestation. What is that mercy? That anyone and everyone can take up this process of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says that in some sampradayas, one has to be born in certain Brahmin families or have a certain spiritual acumen before they can actually practice spiritual life. The Lord Chaitanya says, he says, anyone and everyone can take up chanting Hare Krishna. So it's not restricted. And that is Namo Mahavadhanaya. He's most magnanimous, most merciful. Otherwise, there wouldn't be no movement in the Krishna consciousness. What was our qualification with Srila Prabhupada's mercy coming through Lord Chaitanya's process? That's all. Yes.
How much time does it take for you to chant
32?
I mean, what are 16 rounds?
Well, I chant 16 rounds before I do anything in the morning, and then I look for 3 or 4 times during the day, and I chant 4 rounds during those times. So I do 4, 4, 4, 4, like that. And when I'm traveling and preaching, sometimes I'm down to 28 rounds. So
So what is the length of time it takes? The duration of the time it takes?
I'm a slow chanter. I'm not a very fast chanter. Because I don't chant like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Chum. Okay, Krishna, that was 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna go for 4 minutes on this round. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. That was better, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. My first round when I chant takes about 10 to 11 minutes. First round. And then just to connect with the sound. Because when you Prabhupada mentions this quite often, pronounce clearly. Don't push the letters together and just try to beat the clock japa. It's not like that. So try to chant clearly. So I go very slow. So for the first hour, I might chant 5 or 6 rounds. But then after that, it goes a little faster because once you catch the sound, then it becomes more natural, like that. So then the speed, what we say, automatically increases as you hear nicely. You can go fast without hearing, but then you don't get much from that chanting. All you do is you theoretically got your rounds done. That's all. But then you want to hear nicely. That's the whole process, is to hear Krishna's name. So I'm a slow chanter. I'm not an example. And there are also devotees who also chant very clearly but very fast. So devotees chanted. So I did a seminar program. Actually a workshop with Jayapataka Maharaj many years ago in the New York Temple, and he was also talking about different aspects of it. And he said between 7.5 to 8 minutes is a good time for a round. So if you do 7.5 times 2 hours, for 2 hours you get 16 rounds. So if you finish your rounds in 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes, that is considered to be normal. There's devotees who chant faster, like that. So chanting, it's not about speed, it's about accessing